So, Michelle, I'm glad I could see you again, and I knew that when we met a week ago, we were pretty worried for your safety, and some of the things we planned were you were going to, I thought, some hard steps. You were going to have to tell a neighborhood friend that you were okay with telling her because she had relied or confided in you before, but you never had in her. So you were going to tell her how down you were feeling and that you were actually worried about your safety. Give her the meds so that she could give you only the few a day that you actually need. You're going to give her a bottle of wine because we wanted to, at my suggestion, I wanted to have that gone because of the negative effects that alcohol can have when you're feeling really down and at risk. And then we thought about, well, when persistent thoughts of self-harm come, what would you do? And you had your crochet project that they thought would be kind of calming and meditative. Focus on that, take your mind off of it. And then if that wouldn't work, you'd call the crisis hotline. So I'm assuming this has gone well this week, but I wanted to hear, how has it gone?
Yeah, it was hard at first. It was really hard to talk about that stuff with her. I didn't know if she was going to think I was crazy or what.
New step in y'all's friendship.
Yeah. But she didn't. In fact, she said that she had been to therapy before, and I was surprised, and it's kind of nice that I wasn't alone in that. And she said she was more than happy to keep that for me.
Oh, nice.
And she said she didn't have a problem with just, giving me a couple, if I asked for it a day. And strangely enough, I haven't needed any.
Wow.
I do miss the wine. I'm not going to lie. But I did give it to her, and she was more than happy to have it.
Oh. Well, it did turn out to be a nice gift.
Yeah. And, but I think the big thing was just telling her, and she hugged me. She said that she didn't think I was crazy or stupid or silly or anything, or weak. So that was really nice.
So that was one thing that's happened, was that in your mind you were thinking, wow, this is going to be really hard, and it was hard to get yourself to do it. But then when you did, it turned out to be not that. Relieving that she was okay with it.
Yeah. I guess we've all got our own little secrets that we keep. But I don't feel quite so lonely or as alone as I did before, knowing that there's someone just, down the road I can go to and talk about that kind of stuff. So that was really nice.
So not quite so alone now, but I got the sense that, I think it was when you said but, I really felt like you were going to say, but this is not all better, this is not all easier now, this is difficult.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I haven't had any thoughts of wanting to do anything stupid, or, of course, I can't take the pills because she has them, but, I haven't had any thoughts of doing that. But the hurt is still there. I still feel lost. The crocheting has helped.
Yeah.
what started out as a lap blanket is now turning into a king-size Afghan.
Yeah.
But it's,
It's becoming a big project.
yeah.
And so, I guess what you're saying was it's kind of a mix. Like you didn't have persistent thoughts of hurting yourself, or maybe you meant not any. But still, you're at a place in life where you feel pretty alone.
Yeah. I just don't know. I just don't know what to do with myself. I just don't know who I am if I'm not needed by my loved ones.
Yeah, so like taking care of your husband and your kids was who you are. Was your kind of your role in life to let you know what to do every day.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know if this means that I need to get a hobby or, I don't know, volunteer. I don't know. Get a job. I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know what to do.
So the main feeling is you don't know. Like, it's murky, the future. But you seem to have a few thoughts. Do you start a project? Do you get a job?
I mean, that seems like what, what someone would say to someone like me, right? I mean, oh, you need a puppy, or you need to do this, or you need to do that, it's like, but there's nobody telling me what to do, so I have to figure it out on my own, I guess. I don't know.
Sound like you're kind of having a, like you're knowing, like, well, that's what they would tell anybody to do. Start something new. It didn't sound like you meant people have been actually telling you that, but just that you're knowing that's what people would say.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's like the typical advice, right? I mean, almost an empty nester. Okay, well, you need to find a hobby,
Yeah.
But it's not so easy going from knowing who you were, what your job was, what you were supposed to do, to not having that anymore. Wanting to still have it, but not able to have it. Like, how do I go about finding what I want to do, what I want to be when I grow up?
So it's, yeah, that advice that you know would be out there just feels too simple to you. It's like, yeah, but how?
Yeah, because I'm just not the type of person that can just go about doing menial things. It has to have, I have to have purpose. There has to be something behind it. I can't just start something just for the heck of it. I mean, so I'm just kind of wallowing at this point and trying to figure out who I am. I mean, at this stage in life, you're supposed to know who you are. But apparently who I was wrapped up in other people's identities and not my own.
Sounds almost like you're kind of thinking of that as a mistake now.
It's not a mistake in the sense of I don't regret the time I put in because it was done with love.
Right.
But maybe it was a mistake to not find out a little bit about me before engulfing myself in that role.
Okay.
I never thought about the other end of it, when my job would not be so needed. So.
Yeah, so you don't regret it. And also what I get from your answer there is that doing things out of love is a value that you're very much proud of. That's one that you'll always live with what happens when that was your intent.
Yeah.
Well, one thought I have with our work together is that I can help you with resources, I think. I could help lead you to some resources for looking into occupations, exploring. The easy way to do it is you can find the Occupational Outlook Handbook on the web, and you can then see occupations by categories and see, what would it take to get involved in these different occupations? What's it like? So some of those pieces. I could, you could. It would be great use of our time if you wanted to start exploring that, and then coming to me with comments of what you find. I'm hesitating because I don't want to make it sound like it's a simple solution. I mean, it's like there's thousands of occupations and thousands of directions. But I do think I can help you with resources to find directions. And we could also do some thinking in terms of what are your values? What values would you want to carry forward? What made me think of that was me hearing that one of your values was doing things out of love. Like I'm thinking, why does caring for others have to end with family? It could also be a value that gets carried into occupations and other places.
Never had to.
Yeah. You had a role and a purpose, and it just went along in life.
Yeah.
Actually, I said had. I don't mean to make it sound that way. You still do, but it's just not so. It doesn't encompass all your time now. It doesn't take all your energy.
My role, my purpose has changed or shifted somewhat, I guess. Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to just jump out into, the world of work. It's been years. But I like the idea of taking care of others, helping others in some way. I mean, I like to crochet.
Right.
Maybe I could, do something with the elderly in the nursing home or something. I don't know.
So you were thinking short of looking into new occupations. That felt like too much, too fast to you. So you were thinking like you might like to look into that, see if you can help out with elderly folks in nursing homes.
Yeah, I mean, that was just an idea.
One idea.
Yeah. But it was an idea that's kind of the first one I've really had.
I gather you're apprehensive, but it feels good to you to be thinking about ideas.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't bring back my my other purpose of being there for, taking care of my kids and my husband like I wanted to. But at least I'm not sitting around thinking about how I don't have them to take care of. I mean, doing something else has got to be better than that.
Mm-hmm.
I've got my friend to talk to. Maybe I could do something with her. Maybe we could. I mean, now that I know I don't have to, put on the happy face and,
Right.
I can be, if I feel down that day, I can be down around her. I don't have to pretend, so it wouldn't exhaust me working with her or being around her like it would other people, You know how it is, having to put on the mask.
Right. So you're thinking that y'all's friendship could be, really helpful to you. Is one of the new things in your life would be this friendship, that you and she can talk now and more, and the caregiving goes both ways.
Yeah. It does feel a little bit more hopeful. Daunting, but hopeful. Kind of feel a little bit like I just graduated high school.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with my future.
Yeah, so that feels huge, having to make these decisions for your future.
But we can talk about that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope we will.
Okay. That's good to know.
So as I think about kind of how you're doing, it seems like you're both hopeful for the future and realistically a little apprehensive about it. Knowing that these new decisions you have to make are pretty big. They're not that easy. And as I think about like our work in counseling, you seem like you're kind of okay with us continuing. That's something you're okay with. Part of the reason I go back to that is because I remember that last week when we first started, it was new and awkward, and you were. I don't mean to make it sound like you weren't nice about it. Certainly you were, but you were just letting me know. I don't know if this is for me.
Yeah, nobody wants to admit that they need help. I mean, everybody wants to be able to be in charge of their own lives. Now that I know that my friend said that she was also in therapy, it kind of makes it seem like it's not such a taboo.
That helped. That made it a little easier.
Yeah.
Knowing that you weren't alone. Other people do that. Yeah, and I noticed that one of the ways you thought about it was, at least last week, was about not being in charge of your life. I guess I want to state that I don't see it that way. I like to think of myself as a tool to you. I can bring resources, like we talked about with I can show you some resources and bring some, kind of bring some intentional questioning to help you think through what you value in that. That's always possible. But I just wanted to add that part. I don't see me as in charge of your life. I see us as more partners and me as a tool. You can use counseling to get more in charge of your life, more clear on what you want and why.
Okay. Sounds good.
Well, and we've got about 5 minutes before we need to stop today. And then one of the things I wanted to go back to, just to be sure that I understand, was you did have been doing the crocheting, and you told me that you didn't really have any other thoughts of hurting yourself. So maybe the question and answer to my question is obvious, but you didn't need the crisis hotline. That was not. So you felt down this week, but when you were down, it didn't go to thoughts of hurting yourself.
No, I'd start to crochet before it got any further.
Mm-hmm.
And something about just the rhythm of the, crochet needle, and it just was kind of therapeutic.
Yeah. So you were starting that really early when you would have the feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were talking about the rhythm of the needle, and I don't know much about crocheting, but I guess one of the things I imagine is that you have to keep your focus on what you're doing, or you'd sew a mistake into the pattern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I imagine it to be a very focused, mentally focused activity.
It is on certain points. Some of it, as long as I'm just watching my hands, I can, do a double crochet or whatever, double crochet. If it's the same stitch over and over again, I don't really have to think much. But there comes a point where you've got to count, and do a different stitch and tie that in and all that. So it requires kind of a concentration, kind of flows in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, that kind of just goes along with the rhythm of it, and very soothing.
Part of the rhythm of it is you can let your mind wander at times, and then you have to focus back in.
Yeah.
Back and forth. The other thing I forgot that I thought I probably needed to go back to was you had said earlier that it worked well, telling your friend what you're going through and having her keep your pills for you. And went okay, not having any wine in the house this week.
Mm-hmm.
But you really didn't like that part, I think. And so I wanted to see what you're thinking for next week. I didn't know, so my questions are, the things that are on my mind is, is your friend still going to keep your meds for another week or longer? And also my question is, what do you think you're going to do about drinking wine? What do you think is right?
She's going to keep I'm just going to have her keep the bottle. And if I need it, I'll get it. I mean, it's working, so.
Mm.
And the wine, she's done drunk that bottle.
Sure.
So I'm not going to buy any more until I feel a little bit more out of this funk or whatever.
Okay. So you're thinking that you'll have a sense of when it's okay for you to have wine again, that you'll have a sense of, like, does it feel all right now? And you're knowing that you don't have that sense yet. You're not there yet.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of missing it was really just the routine. It was just kind of there. It was just always the go-to,
Right.
Some people have chocolate, I had a glass of wine type thing, so.
Yeah.
I kind of substituted, crocheting for that, and it just worked. And it's also nice to see the finished product, you know.
With your crocheting?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that becomes self-rewarding because the project gets made.
Yeah.
So then, I'm trying not to be condescending, but the plan is, you know, kind of like reviewing the plan.
Mm-hmm.
But it does sound like you're solid on let's keep things the way they are for another week or more. That sounds like you are interested in us thinking through some steps that you might take forward. But it sounds like you're also thinking, no, you've got a ways to go before you feel well enough to stop being so careful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was really scary to me where I had gotten to, the point I had gotten to, and I just don't want to be like that again. I don't want to feel like that again, and this is working, so let's just stick with it.
Nice.
So.
Part of what drives you to stick with it is that down feeling was so low.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And then I just was remembering, I've got to stop, but I was remembering too that, I mean, it was also affecting you physically.
Mm-hmm.
This started because your doctor was concerned for you.
Yeah, my hair was falling out and
Yeah.
everything, so.
So we have the plan and you feel good about it.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, so we'll stop there then, and I'll walk out with you and we'll reschedule.
Okay.